Man United 1, Wolves 1. Awful result for Manchester United. Loads to get into. I'm joined by Tom Cooney and Scotty as well. In terms of the team you're playing there, in Premier League history, there haven't been many worse. I mean, we can get into how well Wolves played and all that, but they've got 2 points from 18 games before today, and United unable to beat them. And in all reality, didn't really deserve to beat them. Maybe we had a couple more shots, 2 more shots on target, but Wolves were as good as us in that game, and that's absolutely unforgivable, really, isn't it? That is awful for Manchester United. We'll get into the manager, we'll get into the players, we'll get into all of it, what's gone wrong there, but just fundamentally, that is a terrible result.
It is. But you know, there'll be games where Wolves haven't played that bad throughout this season, but teams will still beat them because you find a way against the team that's that poor, that's in that run of form, can't find a win, struggling, 2 points all season. It happened, didn't it, in the first game that we played, where they got back into it, where they showed a bit of something, because they aren't as bad as we've said this during the show, didn't we, that they're not as bad as 2 points would suggest. I've seen worse teams in the Premier League, but in the second half at Molineux, you see the gap, you pull away.
Yeah.
Whereas today, the difference with the personnel on the pitch, we looked hopeless. And to be honest, towards the end of the game, it looked like they had just as much chance of snatching a winner as we did, which is pretty unforgivable.
What's gone wrong there, do you think, Scotty? Obviously, we know the players. Feel free to talk about that, by the way.
Yeah.
But the manager setting up in a 5 at the back, or what's it? I mean, it's hard to even see what fucking formation we're playing half the time, because when we've got the ball, it's one thing. Out the ball, it's another thing. But was there an issue with personnel today? Was there an issue with the way the manager set them up?
It was surprising, really, when we had the sort of 4-4-2 we had against Newcastle, and we were getting a lot more joy through Dorgu down the wing, especially given the sort of level of opposition. But for me, it's just what's criminal or unforgivable is that you are riding high off the Newcastle win. Okay, you don't have the Bruno and Bumo and Ahmad, etc. players available. You don't come into that game against bottom of the league and play that first half of football with a lethargy like someone who's had like the leftovers from a Christmas dinner the day before. That's what it was like. It was just so sluggish. Yeah. They were lacking any idea. Very toothless in front of goal. And Osesco had a few opportunities. And the only creativity, the only sort of idea in front of getting the ball towards the net came from Aiden Heaven, which ultimately got us the goal. But that was it. Apart from that, there was nothing in terms of getting balls into the box, any sort of like little bits of magic or anything. It was just... I'm dumbfounded. I'm really struggling trying to find any... It's easy to say, OK, we haven't got the personnel there, but by and large, yes, Wolves are better than their league position, but the 11 that started that game are by and large better than the team they faced and should have won the match easily.
United should have won this game. I mean, the super chats, we'll get into the comments in a minute. Obviously, loads of people not happy, and for good reason. One of the reasons primarily is we would have been fourth tonight if we'd have won that. And obviously, it's not a loss, and etc, etc, etc. But all of these chances we have to take advantage and push on. Villa have lost tonight. That you can cut the lead to their lead on us down to 7. You can go fourth with Liverpool obviously still to play. But these things start, add up across the season where we just keep having these moments and failing to capture them. And some of the performances today, and like I said, we'll get to the manager because I think it's just a strange set of things that went on today. But some of the performances on the pitch were so lacklustre and so slow and sluggish. Like, Dorgu looked a different player to the one that played against Newcastle, and you can't just be going from the left to the right completely unlocks you and you become a different person, because I remember his debut for United was on the right hand side and he wasn't amazing in that game. Obviously it's a debut and I'm not trying to go after Dorgu specifically, but I don't see why playing him on the other side would make him play like that tonight, where the touches were heavy, the crosses. Do you know what it was? It was the first taste a lot of this squad have had of what it would have been like if we'd have qualified for Europe. There would have been so many fucking games like this because we played on the 26th and we played again on the 29th or the 30th, sorry. So with 4 days in between. And rather than the big long week that this squad needs to have any energy, Casemiro looked knackered from the first half, wasn't tracking back properly. Dorgu looked knackered, Cooney looked knackered. Luke Shaw, every time he gets the ball, he's fucking walking on it. He slows it down and looks up and slows it down and looks up. They look knackered. And you think all the other top teams do this every week. They play Thursday and Saturday, or Thursday and Sunday they play Wednesday, Saturday. Like, we look knackered playing 2 games in a week. And it just, like you said, Scotty, the slowness, the speed, the fact that, you know, we couldn't get at Wolves in the first half, and the amount of times where one player would switch it from, you know, just drop it from one foot to the other foot and skip through our whole midfield and run into 30 yards of open space. It's absolutely insane. And I think, like, I don't understand why we set up in the formation that we did. We've talked all about the 4 at the back, and I don't see why we then switched back to a 5 at the back against the worst team in the league with no midfield. It's not because normally with a 5 at the back, I sort of understand you're trying to play for the team that you've got, but I didn't think we had a team that worked with a 5 at the back today. I guess the argument would be you're still playing Dorgu as a winger, and he's not a winger even in a 4, and the squad is very threadbare. And then you've got Xerxes coming on and being just terrible for 45 minutes. I know he got the goal, but it was a big deflection, and, you know, the work rate and the energy wasn't there. But I for me, would have played 4 at the back, have more players in attack. If you can't have the quality, at least have the personnel there. And instead of having Dorgu to do 60-yard sprints every time he's joining the attack and joining the defence, let him stay up. He might not look as tired if he's not having to do these big runs, and I don't think that was a good idea for the manager. I think that was stupid. But then I also think every sub, you know, I think Xerxes coming off at half time. I know Gary Neville saying he doesn't get it. I get it. You can't walk around for fucking 45 minutes against the shittest team in Premier League history and be allowed to stay on. And maybe Jack Fletcher coming on didn't make things that much better. But Jack Fletcher's a youngster. Joshua Xerxes is 24 years old and costs €40 million. You don't get to walk around as a Man United player and not put the work in and keep playing for us. People want to talk about standards and then can't believe it when someone gets subbed off. Like fucking Gary Neville, how can you not see that? But yeah, there's a lot of things that I just didn't understand about that performance, from the players to the manager, the way we set up, the way that, again, we seemed quite comfortable for decent chunks of the game, especially the first half, to just sit in our own box. That's mad against the shittest team ever. And like we said, they're not as bad as 2 points. I agree with you, Tom. I've seen worse teams in the Premier League than these lot. But everyone else has found a way to do it. We found a way to do it 3 weeks ago. So, you know, I guess obviously maybe that does point to it being the personnel. So I'm fucking rambling because I don't get it. Loads of super chats. Guts Doyle obviously spending all his pocket money on super chats. Ego 4 at the back worked. He's a stubborn child. Cheers. JC says he's only got back-to-back wins once. Get rid. Guts Doyle says it's not injuries. We have been bad plenty all year. I mean, it is obviously injuries as well. You can't say that team would have played the same if it had Bruno and Mount and Burmo and Ahmad and others in there, Delict. That team doesn't play the same. So injuries, of course, make a difference. All the question is, how much of a difference? And should we have won anyway? You can't pretend you don't get better when you add our 6 best players back into the team. James Berger says, worst manager in United's history, fails to beat the worst team in Premier League history. Get Ole tomorrow, top 4. I'm not joking, says Guts Doyle. Johnson, I can't cope with United anymore. Smash the telly with the remote. Wife has taken the kids to her parents. Hammer him out. Can't go on like this. Insipid. I don't know if that's real, but if it is, then I hope tomorrow is a brighter day. Trond, who's been a member for 64 months, thank you very much. A few better games with a changed formation, and what does he do? Revert back to the same old. He doesn't have the ceiling to make us better. Why do you think he did that? Why do you think we came out with what looked like a 3 at the back today after not just improved performances? I say again though, a few better games with the changed formation. We lost 1, we drew 1, and we won 1. So it wasn't that much better.
That's what I mean. I don't think we have really improved. I think you look at, you get too carried away with results. We weren't good against Newcastle.
No, that was the worst of the 3 performances.
We weren't good. So
I think we were better against Bournemouth and Villa than we were against Newcastle.
So this is it, and it's tough for him because he's got. I don't make excuses for the manager because I do think that he should be getting more out of these players, especially in some of these home games. But yeah, I don't want to get bogged down on the formation and the change for this, because I think you can look at, we beat Newcastle, wasn't good. We weren't finding a way. We didn't create much at all. We really didn't find many ways to hurt them or to get into the box, to get the ball to the forward players. It was actually quite a difficult watch. We got a goal probably against the run of play, even after we'd started well. A really good goal, which wasn't created. It was a corner ball foot and a brilliant finish from Dorgu. So, I don't look at the formation in the last game as we've tapped into something here. I don't think that was the case. Newcastle didn't find their goal. We found ours. We win the game. This game today, I mean, Score 2 goals, you win that.
Yeah, and we did. Just the second one was offside. But it would, I mean, you know, there was chances in there. There was chances. That Sesko header for me is fucking unforgivable. That is. I mean, obviously, one game doesn't change who he is as a player and all that. But that's put a dint in what I think of Benjamin Sesko that game today, because I think he had the chance at the end, which he didn't do too badly with, and Dorgu put the rebound in, but it was a bit of a soft shot. He had the header at the back post at the outside of the post. And then that header running onto the ball 7 yards out, straight at the goalkeeper. I just think good strikers, top strikers score that. Average strikers who are good at heading it score that. You know, that's any level of football, that's a huge chance for a big number 9. He's got to do better with some of these, surely.
No, he certainly has, and that was the easiest of the bunch that he got. But if you look at them as a whole, top-level strikers would have scored one of the harder ones, really, the one against the post, the ones that the header that was straight at the goalkeeper on time. And I thought he was going to come. He was trying to make his own chances, but again, it's not just down to him; it's down to the players behind him. And like Tom was saying with the Newcastle game. Like, tonight's lack of creativity isn't a problem for the Wolves game. It's a deep-seated problem when we haven't got a Bruno or when we haven't got any creative players behind our front players. Cooney today was looked knackered as well. There was absolutely nothing in him. And the ball was bouncing all around. He couldn't dribble. He was always miles away from him. He was chasing onto every
touch was so heavy, wasn't it?
Really heavy.
But that's it. He was the only really, kind of senior forward player playing behind Sesko, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, is there another world where that explains it? Where you've got Sesko and behind him you've got
a knackered
Cunha, Xerxes who's not good enough. You've got a left back in Dorgu and a right back in Dallo. Does that explain it, or is there is it still inexcusable?
I think the annoying thing is we got the goal. You get the goal and better teams. We're not a better team at the minute.
Yeah.
But that's enough. You kill the game and you get out of there with the win. It's the goal we've conceded is frustrating because we've seen that time and time again. When we've had our good players out there, where you get ahead in a game, which hasn't been our problem this season.
We seem to get ahead in every game we play almost. And then something happens. I mean, we've got loads of super chats.
It can't always be that you need to sit back. It eventually becomes a pattern.
It becomes, but that's why I was thinking that it becomes predictable to the point with like the players themselves are expecting to concede once they've scored.
Against the worst team in Premier League history.
It becomes inevitable at stages.
Yeah. Marcus Jackson says, Wolves should be disappointed with a draw. I really thought they were better in the final third. I'm actually a little bit relieved. Love you guys though. Thank you very much, mate. I agree. I think there was a couple of chances for them where they should have scored. That double save from Lomans was fantastic. Because Heaven sort of just gets nudged out the way a little bit. And is it Strand Larsen with a shot? I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Strand Larsen. I can't remember who it was. Down to his left, and as the second player is coming in, almost sort of De Gea versus Arsenal-esque, comes across with the other save and then actually flicks it away with a third touch. Phenomenal from Lomans. Didn't put a foot wrong today for me. Big overreaction from the fan base, says Jay. We need to realise that he will get 75% of his decisions wrong, and as long as he's honest with us, he'll be okay. Sigh. Sahuj Ibak says, does Amrim have amnesia? He himself said this week that he understands the 5 at the back system will take a lot of investment and then went back to playing it. Put Cheeto up with Sesko, play like United, says Guts Doyle. Liam Rascola says, Happy New Year to everyone but Amrim. Hope he lets his New Year party popper off in his eye. Bloody hell. His ego is the cause of so much of the suffering he bleats on about. Burnsy says, tonight's the night the straw broke the camel's back. If you can't win against Wolves at home, it just ain't going to work. Guts Doyle says, Joe, it has. Everton, Grimsby, West Ham. There is an odd pattern of us looking our worst against our worst opponents. Whether it be West Ham, Grimsby, Wolves, Bournemouth, who were on a terrible run when we played them. We seem to be the shitter the team we play against. How is that explainable?
I've said it before when we've done reviews following those games, I've been on the watch along, and I have to put it down to ego. The expectation that we're at Old Trafford and we're playing Everton, or we're playing the Wolves, that we're better than them and we're going to go out and we're going to walk all over them. Or is it the fear that they know because it's happening that often that they will concede goals? They're the only things I can put it down to.
With complacency, you'd think, well, that's probably come from something, a bit of success. There's been no success to make them
you earn an ego, don't you?
It's On what planet do you think you're going to go out in these games and steamroll teams when you can't? You've not put. When was the last time they put back-to-back wins together?
Yeah, it was those two. It was the 2 games, was it? I can't remember who it was now. We got 3 in a row, didn't we, at one point?
Oh, was it there before Forest? Was
yeah.
it? Who did we? But that's the only time he's done it. It was back-to-back.
Yeah, Sunderland, Liverpool. Bloody hell, that seems like a world away, doesn't it? Dragonheart says, sack Amorim now, he's a bust. Love from the USA. Nico says, worried it's an ego thing with Amorim. Amor out, says MUFC Music. My biggest issue with Amorim is he treats the players like assets, sells in Excel, he feels like a football manager player. This is the real world, players have feelings and personality instead of stats. MUFC says, bring back Moyes. What the fuck, Newcastle with the 4 was good, ruined by Ruben. Again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have played for it. I think we should have played for it at the back. I think it suited the personnel. We weren't good against Newcastle. We got the goal and we defended and we won. And sometimes that's all it takes. That's what you need. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's a good thing that we're able to do that. But when you look at the good performances we've had this season, Newcastle doesn't make the top 10 for me. We were far better we played better football against Bournemouth. I think we were better against Villa, even though we lost. We were better against Palace. We were better against Sunderland, Liverpool, Brighton. The Newcastle game was one of the worst we've played this season, but we happened to win. We didn't touch the ball for the second half. So I get that we won the game, but I don't think using the Newcastle game as the barometer for what we should be trying to replicate for me is not the right thing to be doing at all. Obviously, let's try and fucking win, and who cares really how you play at the end of the day, but yeah, I don't think everything was brilliant last week and it's gone terrible this week. Wear my sunglasses at night. Thoughts, Cunha's turned into a frustration player. He holds onto the ball too long, tries to take on too many players and misses easy passes. He's the new nanny. He does tend, I don't agree with the nanny thing, but he does tend to have a little bit of a, right, I'm going to sort this out now about him, and sometimes that gets him in trouble, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but I think that sometimes stems from frustration from players around him not doing that.
Yeah.
But today was probably one of the worst games that I've seen in a United shirt, because we were saying earlier on that the touches were so heavy, and I think it was beyond what he was trying to do with his energy levels. But outside of Lamans and maybe a bit of Heaven, it was just a woeful performance across the field.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure if I agree with the 4-4-2 or 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, how much difference that makes. I think maybe the Dorgu from right to left may make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, if Newcastle performance wasn't great, Dorgu's performance was good against Newcastle.
You've had a good game.
So why would you why switch it over for Delo, who can also play on the left hand side?
Yeah.
I think especially when you are relying on Dorgu to fill in an attacking, creating area, you've got a player there that, okay, is normally a defender. We've seen him struggle to go forward. He's maybe tapped into something that might help you get through this game. A player that can contribute.
Yeah.
And you move him and nothing really clicked today, did it?
No,
but Cunha was very poor.
We've got some quotes from Amorim here. So he said, we struggled in all the game. We had lack of creation, but we already knew it would be a different game to Newcastle. We had a different energy during the game. Looking at the 90 minutes, we had our chances, but the fluidity offensively wasn't there. There is a lack of connections at the moment, which we could all see that. Completely different game to the last one. We had more men behind the ball. When you have that, you have to work harder to create more, have imagination, and have the game and play the game in a different way. We lacked that today. They tried. We didn't play well. When you don't play well with the ball, you struggle without it. You need to recover and go to the next zone. And then he was asked about the Xerxes sub at half-time. We were running around trying to get hold of the ball. We were struggling with their midfielders, and sometimes you can attack better with less strikers. We played with 3 strikers, and sometimes that's not the best thing to attack well. The game is over. You cannot change the result of this one, but you can move on and go to the next one. Now, let me just get into a couple more of these super chats, and we'll have a bit more of a wider look at things. Mark Conlin says, we needed Cunha. He never turned up. Mid-table player. I think that's a bit of a rash assessment, but we'll see. Shit rolls downhill from top to bottom. The cancer at the top breeds through this club and through the players. We need to stop acting like our shit don't stink, says Irfan. Stephen Tries in the comment says, is the lass in the middle wearing full kit? No, not quite. He's done me there. But actually, can we let's ban him. Aquila Ross says Amorim cares more about sticking to his silly system than getting points. And Momo Rap says, why can't we get the Glazers out? Any other big club would. I mean, that's literally the opposite of what the truth is, isn't it? Any other big club, like the club is bigger than its owners. The only people who can get rid of the Glazers are the Glazers. Any other big club would be in the same position, unfortunately. Fucking hell. I mean, other than the British government getting rid of Roman Abramovich, every other big club would be stuck in this position until the owner decides to sell. Just finally on this, if we zoom out a little bit, because obviously we've all got problems with some of the manager's decisions. The players weren't good enough. The subs made us maybe slightly better, but barely. Terrible result. This run of home performances and results has been really poor with that Newcastle win in there. But if you zoom out a little bit, United are still on the same points as Chelsea, who are firmly going for Champions League football. The league table, we're 6th. I guess we could go behind Brentford. We can't go behind Brentford. We go behind Sunderland if they beat Man City. How big a reaction would you expect from this? Or would you just... obviously they're not going to sack the manager, but do you think that this is the sort of, a little crack in the side of things for Ruben Amorim, or do you think it'll be end of the season no matter what happens?
It all chips away at him, doesn't it? You can give all the... you put all that confidence... The statement that Ratcliffe made, he's going to be here for 3 years. It's great, but sometimes situations just develop and kind of organically, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I always felt that no matter what the owners said, you can't look 3 years ahead at Man United because you start to focus on the now a little bit. I started to worry a little bit of late with some of these performances at home. In a weird way, I can deal with that if we're actually going away and winning the games that we're not supposed to win, and somehow it keeps us high up the table. We're 6th. We're in touch with things, but it just feels like a lot of points we've thrown away recently.
Some of these home
really gimme points that are going to come back to bite us, because tougher games are coming. Even next game's a tougher game, going to Leeds. Yeah. And then after the Burnley game, it's we're back into Cities and Liverpools.
City and Arsenal and back-to-back games.
It doesn't get any easier. So I don't know. It's hard to talk about the wider picture because I'm not calling for a manager to be sacked. I guess we'll see where we are at the end of the season.
Yeah,
it's not good at the minute, and we are 6th. So that brings European football. It brings Europa League. Before the season, that would have been success, but I think at the end of the season, if we feel depressed about what we're watching, that's going to have to be taken into account.
Yeah.
Marcus, Abubakar says, many players at United not the top level. We have a mid-table squad. Recruitment must get better. Still should beat Wolves. Happy New Year, guys. Hope for a better year. Thank you very much, mate. Sorry I missed that before. Thanks for reminding me. Drawing to a team with less points than a triangle, which is a fucking great... That is one of the best sentences I've seen all night. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Drawing to a team with less points than a triangle.
After Christmas.
That is so good. Hard watch, but expected to be with half our team out, and how close they ran Arsenal and Liverpool. Talking about Wolves there. This game reminded me a lot of Grimsby in the first half, said Artorius Zion. Gutsdo says, where does it end, Joe? 3 points from the next 3 beyond. I don't know where it ends, and I'm not. I based on what the owners have said, I don't see a world where Amorim gets sacked this season, unless there's a clear and obvious real degradation of his relationship with the players. I think they'll give him this year. I'm not saying they won't sack him in the summer. I think he will get this season, personally. That's not what I would do or my running of Man United. That's based on what they have said. I think he'll get this season. So we're going to have to go through all of this and then kind of summarise it as the season comes to an end and work out whether it was good enough or not. I don't see a world where he gets sacked.
No.
Even if we lost to Leeds in the next game, I don't think he's going to go. Do you see a different world, or do you think that whether we like it or not, this is Amorim's season to do with what he will?
I think he's definitely got credit in the bank with the owners, at least. I think you were talking about reactions there. I think a lot of the fan base, some of them will be having the usual knee-jerk reactions after the Newcastle game. We're all celebrating 4-4-2, we're coming back, and then after this game it'll be let's get Amorim out, and that's just sort of the fickle nature of some football fans. But the larger picture is that the inconsistency of putting back-to-back wins is problematic. The fact that we can't beat lesser teams at home is becoming hugely problematic. And sooner or later, the good stuff that he's doing, the first half against Bournemouth, the game against Villa that we lost, the 1-0 win against Newcastle, although the performance wasn't great, the Liverpool win, these have to start being signposts towards something greater. rather than just sort of moments in a shit season. And at the moment, there's more evidence to say that we are just sort of clinging on to things now rather than sort of building in the foundations. And I say that as someone who's been staunchly hammering him out, but I needed to see more. Staunchly hammering him in. Yeah. But I need to start seeing more sort of wins put up back to back, regardless of who the personnel is. That first half in particular was just completely unforgivable. Me and that manager should have put his foot right up all their asses at half time. And United should have come out and won the game.
Ray Jugo says, why are we pretending like we didn't just watch a team in transition play without 6 of its best players against a team who Arsenal and Liverpool struggled? I mean, they've got 2 points. I do get the point, but everyone else has struggled and found a way. Even United, we played them fucking 3 weeks ago. What's changed there? That's the other thing I don't get. I mean, what's changed is we've had a load of players injured. I mean, maybe it's just as simple as that. We beat them 3 weeks ago away. So it's not, you can't say that we completely got it right then and got it wrong this time, and it's the same coach, it's it's all the same, except our players are worse. I don't know, maybe it's just as simple as that. Sean D says, where's Mainu going in a couple of days? Yeah, I don't know, I think he's staying at the minute if he needs to get fit before he goes anywhere. Mad Cobra says, gold medal in mental gymnastics for Joe. Very good. Amrim out. Guts Doyle says, what bank is it? I need to borrow 200k. That's going to be all from us this evening. I think this is a nice place to end it. Because we can talk about this forever, because it's one of those performances that just doesn't make sense in it. It's one of those results where you just go, I don't know how that's happened, and we have to follow it up. Whether a good performance against Leeds is a minimum, but then we've got those couple of games in there. You've got Burnley, and then it's the Brighton FA Cup match, and that is a fucking massive game now, because if the season essentially ends that day, that's going to be a real tough one, I think, for a lot of people. So we'll have to wait and see. As difficult as it's been, thank you very much, Tom, for coming on. Joe. Scotty as well, thank you as always for coming down. We'll be having you on watch-alongs and reviews very shortly as well, if you're up for it. If you've not been scarred too much. Thank you very much at home for joining us as well. A fucking awful result for Manchester United. Drawing at home to Wolves. 3 points Wolves now, by the way. Now
same as a triangle.
It's the same as a triangle, yeah.
Glad we could help.
Fucking hell. See you in a bit.